YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to my Power Rangers Cosmic Fury one-ish year later video. I did one of these last year, not last year, but for Once and Always, where I was a little bit late talking about it from the anniversary and I didn't get a chance to rewatch it. And after I filmed that, I'm like, you know, sometime between now and when Cosmic Fury comes out, I want to rewatch it, or comes out, you know, the anniversary, and then I can offer some more detailed thoughts. And then time passed me by, and I just completely missed the anniversary, and I didn't get a chance to rewatch it. And I didn't want to fast binge it, even though it would be fairly easy to do, because that's how I reviewed it the first time. You know, I fast binged it over the course of a day, on and off, so I could get the review out. And next time I cover Cosmic Fury in a rewatch review, I want to watch it at my own pace, because that is a bit of a different experience. I think you might notice things more when you can take your time. You don't feel forced to watch it. So at some point when I do a PR rewatch, I will do that. But I'm kind of glad it turned out this way, because these videos, the one-ish year later, is kind of a more casual look back at how memorable and how impactful it was on me after it aired. Because with Once and Always, I talked about how, yeah, I enjoyed it, but after the first, probably less than a month after it aired, it kind of left my brain outside of whenever someone might bring it up, or honestly, thinking about it, the only thing that stuck with me about that is how stupid people were about the timeline. I could see why you might misunderstand that, it took place before Cosmic Fury, but once you think about it for a second, Becky, it takes place after, and the fact that people acted like it was the most convoluted time travel problem that ever needed to be solved. Guys, with Cosmic Fury, honestly, it was mostly the same. I didn't really think about it all that much after the first few weeks after it aired. I will say that in a way, I probably thought about it more, not from the show standpoint where, sometimes you have movies and shows that stick with you more. I don't think there's been very many PR or Toku shows that really stuck with me, something impactful that you remember. This is a recent example, but The Substance, that movie came out 2-3 weeks ago, and I'm still thinking about it. If you want to know my thoughts on Joker Fettuccine Alfredo, I couldn't stop thinking about The Substance still. I'm still thinking about it right now. That movie was insane. That will probably be a movie that'll pop into my head over the next couple years every now and then. Or the Twin Peaks ending. I think about that at least every month or 2 months. The return ending, I guess the original ending too, but you know what I mean. There are certain shows and movies that will just stick with you, whether it's because it was impactful or shocking or something you just enjoyed, something that wasn't necessarily shocking in terms of moments like The Substance or Twin Peaks was Better Call Saul. That was just an amazing show. Or Search Party, if you've ever seen that, go watch it. Even if you don't like it, just watch the first episode and the last episode and be like, how did we get here? Anyway, there are certain things that just stick with you. And there aren't as many PR or Toku shows that do stick with me in that way, but there are ones that stick with me. You know, I was trying to think about stuff in recent memory. I would say this is so long ago, and I don't mean to say that everything in the Neo Saban era was garbage or anything, but I think RPM was probably the last one because at the time it was supposed to be the last season too, but also it was just such a complete surprise how crazy good it was. On Sentai Rider-wise, I think about Kara Major quite a bit. I think just because it was such a throwback feel to the way that I liked Sentai back in the early 2000s when I got into it, just in terms of that feel. I thought about Geats and Revice a little bit this year just because I was kind of nostalgic for how much I was enjoying Toku during last summer. You know, when I was reviewing Gotchard and how just downtrodden it got me, I was nostalgic for that. So there are Toku shows that I will think back on. I don't think it's as impactful as regular movies and TV, but there are ones that do stick with me that I will think of every now and then. But thus far, I don't think Cosmic Fury and Once and Always are those. Like I said, I think in a way, I thought about Cosmic Fury more, not because, again, something that happened in the show that stuck with me, but mainly because of the conversation about the show ending. You know, we had the news about the reboot ending, and then all leading up to that, we had conversation of when's the news happening, and then we have kind of the what's happening now conversation. And I think because of that, Cosmic Fury comes up a bit just in your mind, because when it aired, it was just the final season of the traditional show, but as of this moment, it's the final season forever, or indefinitely, or whatever. The word indefinitely sounds so definite to me. I always used to think that when they said it's shelved indefinitely, I thought that meant forever. That's what it sounds like to me. Anyway, the point is that's the only time I really thought about it, outside of also, and again, this has nothing to do with me thinking about the contents of the show. I did think about it quite a bit when the Boom Boonzer suits were revealed, because one of the biggest things I do remember about Cosmic Fury is the drama over the suits and the trashing of the suits, which I understand, and I'll get to that in a minute, just talking about my thoughts on that. But I do remember, of course, you got the purists coming in there, and like, I understand why people didn't like the suits. I don't think they're the greatest looking. You know, they do kind of look like Power Rangers, a 2B original, but I like to see original stuff. I like to see like what they do. I like the idea behind them. There are elements I like of them. I like, you know, Red's helmet. I really love seeing Russo Pink's helmet in red. I think it looked really cool. I love stuff like Ravi's arm. Was it Ravi? Did I get his name right? The Black Ranger, whatever that dude's name was, Phil of the Future, his arm. And I actually ended up kind of liking the champagne color, even though the reasons they gave for why it couldn't be a White Ranger seemed stupid. But there were things I liked, and it's like I can easily get past it. I'm not one of those people that can't watch it because I didn't care for the suits as much. I just completely got away from my point. What was I talking about? Anyway, point is I understand it. They do look cheaper, and it sucks that if that's the final season of PR, they go out looking like a Tubi original. No offense to Tubi, they're actually a great streaming service. Like, for me, some of the least intrusive ads and like a great horror catalog. And there's some good originals on there. You know, like Lowlifes, that was a surprise. Anyway, this is what I'm talking about. And they have the one on Fallout movie. Okay, I got even farther away from my point. What was I talking about? Oh yes! Oh yes! The suits. That caused a lot of like, oh, they can't design it like the gods at Sentai, the almighty Sentai forever. And then Boom Boondra comes out and they're like, what is this trash? You know, obviously Boom Boondra elicited a much more extreme reaction because it is odd. They got a tire on their face. They got a tire on their forking face, for God's sake. Of course. But it just reminded me that every time we get a new Sentai and Rider design, you have a large group of people being like, they're running out of ideas, worst ever, blah, 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 blah. And it's just funny because when you're talking about Power Rangers, you worship Sentai like it's in Toku and Rider or whatever, like it's this god that can do no wrong. But yet then you're so hypercritical whenever they come out with new suits. It just reminded me of that. And to be fair, all fandom does that. I think Star Wars is the worst offender where like apparently no one can get it right. Even George Lucas, like people are like, bring George Lucas back. I'm like, you guys were telling him he didn't understand Star Wars. The man created Star Wars. You know who doesn't understand Star Wars? You, Becky. That's probably the only things I really think about that stuck with me about Cosmic Fury is the drama over the suits just because certain conversations will remind me of it and the discussion around the final season. As far as the show itself, I wouldn't say my opinion changed all that much. I think I did like it more than Once and Always. I thought it was just a fun watch. I think it had a lot of cool ideas and moments that I really liked. I think it felt rushed and kind of undercooked, not in the sense that the show, what they made felt incomplete, but you could clearly tell that they wanted to have 20 episodes. I don't remember the specifics behind it, but I remember there being something about this could be wrong, and you correct me, feel free to correct me. I was told there'd be no fact checking. I think it was something like Netflix would have given them 20 episodes, but Hasbro only wanted to do 10. But I think at some point in the production, even if it was only day one in the office, I think that they planned 20 episodes in their head. And you could just kind of tell because there were certain arcs that were just rushed. I mean, we probably could have gotten more build up to Amelia being red, even though I thought they did a pretty good job with the timing, because it was more about who stepped up to the plate when everyone else was gone. Everything with Zato could have been fleshed out better. I think there could have been more drama about Ravi dealing with his arm. Crazy they cut off a dude's arm. I mean, I think anything PR did that was like outside of the Pleasantville bubble had me clutching my pearls because they had gotten me so conditioned to feeling like I was watching Power Rangers in Pleasantville for the last 10 years. There was some stuff about like Izzy and Fern and like Izzy being overprotective that was kind of underdeveloped, but you could just tell there was ideas that were clearly meant to be expanded longer. And I can't necessarily, not say fault the show, like not that I can't criticize it, but I can't be too mad at them for that because it's not their fault. You know, if you cut off their supply, there's nothing they can do. It's like if you ask someone to bake 4 cakes, but then you only give them the supply for 2, you can't get upset at them that they literally can't do that. So I think it's unfortunate that we didn't have more time with that, but I did like a lot of the ideas that they presented. And I thought there was some cool stuff they did for the final season. I liked seeing Billy back. One of my favorite memorable moments from that, when I think about Billy being back, was, God, that's a, tongue twister, is, well, not a tongue twister, but just, what's those things when it's like a alliteration, when it's all the letters in a row? God, I'm all over the place in this one. One of the things I thought about most with Billy being back was like the scene where they're getting the Cosmic Fury powers and he's describing to someone, I don't remember who it was, but he's like, oh, and then I was a wolf ninja. That was just such a funny moment for me. I mean, getting Heckle back, paying off something that could have been, I thought that was cool. Just in general, even though, it was a bit anticlimactic, I'll admit, and doing like a redemption story of Zed being like, oh, he might change in the whatever we put him in seems weird because like that's meant to be the pure evil essence of Zed. Regardless, even though it was anticlimactic, I appreciated that they did this weird inverse countdown to destruction. I thought that was a cool idea for the final season. I like that they attempted to explain like where all the other Rangers were because it made the conflict feel big in the background. And I like that they even tried to like tie it to SPD after all of us like for years saying like, where's SPD or whatever. Like, I think there was some legitimate effort put into there, and it wasn't perfect. It was a bit of a rushed mess in some ways, but I thought it was a fun watch that I enjoyed for what it was. And I do think that people don't give the Dino Fury, Cosmic Fury era enough credit from being a step up. It still very much has that Neo Saban sheen, but I think it was a step up in many ways, and I like the cast, and I thought it was a fun watch. And I do look back on it more fondly a little bit than Once and Always, just because I had a good time with it. But it would have been great to get a better final season if we would have known, but I think there was still some cool stuff there. And the last note I'll end off on is, I did always love that the final line of Power Rangers could have fittingly been, "May the power protect you." And then Zato sneaks in there with Coolio. I mean, I'm sure that probably make a lot of people mad. I didn't see a lot of outrage, surprisingly, over it, but I didn't really look either. But I thought that was just kind of funny and fitting. So yeah, Cosmic Fury, I thought it was fun for what it was. I'm glad we got it. I'm glad we got something that felt more like a final season. Oh, the last thing I did want to say, because I did love this. You know, I know there was all kinds of drama around Q Ranger, and I don't even want to get into that. I'm over that crap. Just shut up about Q Ranger, shut up about Gokaiger. I'm talking about the Super Megaforce people that are still like, petition to redo Super Megaforce. Let it go, Becky. Let it go. I did love that we had this, even though the suits weren't my favorite, I loved the idea of trying to do something original and keeping sort of the Dino Fury suits piloting the Q Ranger suits, or the mecha, because that took me back to something I love about the original era of PR, is I love how unique it feels that we have this crazy universe built upon building together all these different elements from Sentai. Like, it felt nostalgic, especially for the final season, to remind me of the Ranger suits piloting the Ranger mecha and the Kaku Ranger mecha. That it still makes sense to me in my head that those fit together. Like, it still looks more natural to me for the White Ranger to stand with the MMPR team. Like, I liked stuff like that. I thought that was a cool throwback, even if it was kind of unintentional, because I think the reason they said they did it is like, oh, we can have space footage, it'll save budget, whatever. I liked that. But yeah, neither of these stuck with me all that much, but I enjoyed it for what it was. At some point I will do a rewatch and maybe I'll have some more negative things to say, but there was nothing I really soured on about it. I think, if anything, I had a little bit more souring on Once and Always, not in an overly negative way, but Cosmic Fury's largely stayed the same. But what about you guys? Cosmic Fury, have you rewatched it since then? Do you have a higher or lower opinion? What did you like about it? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications from all my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.